A little behind the power curve getting my workout going this morning. Spent a little bit of extra time in prayer, which is never a bad thing. Sometimes when you're trying to get everything done in one day, you have to realize what's important and what's not. In this case, prayer is important, working out kind of, but less so. So instead of doing a full 5 minutes of jump rope, I think we're just going to do 1 minute of each, which is cool because I hate jump rope. Let's angle that a little bit. There we go. Okay, minute 40 seconds of jump rope because I wasted 20 seconds of that first minute just adjusting the camera. And because it doesn't hurt to do a little bit of jump rope. All right, so I've been working on hooks for the last couple of weeks now. Trying to increase the speed as well as the power of my hooks. Now the hooks are a rotational technique. They don't come linearly into the target like a strike punch. They come around from the side. I thought I'd continue that emphasis on the rotational technique by throwing in some roundhouse kicks today. Now here's the thing about a hook roundhouse combo. A hook is a close technique. Even with the arm partially extended, like I talked about last week, you still don't have the range. Stupid rope. It's the rope's fault. You still don't have the range that you would have with, say, a jab or cross. You still can't quite reach out and touch somebody. Whereas a roundhouse kick is quite a long range technique. Ready? You have all the range in the world with that roundhouse. How do you combine the two into a combo? It's difficult on a punching bag because the first is thrown from this range and a roundhouse is thrown from that range. So I was thinking about it. And the reason I want to throw the two together is because they're both rotational techniques and I can work that serape effect where hook, roundhouse. So I'm essentially coiling, and as I uncoil, load up my hips for that roundhouse. Biomechanically, it works. Tactically, I'm not sure how it works because first I have to be this close, and then I have to be this close. Now I can certainly change distances, and we'll probably do that at least a few times. But when I was thinking about it from in a scenario, one of the things that is very likely to happen if I throw a hook at somebody is they're likely to jump back. So I throw that hook at this range, but my opponent, instead of standing there and getting hit in the side of the head, jumps back and my hook misses. And then I have to recover from that miss. That is where that roundhouse kick comes in. And of course, there's a million ways you can recover from a missed hook. The first is don't miss. If you see him starting to go back, just extend it out a little bit more. Try and catch him on the point of the chin as he backpedals. And then you're likely to not only get in a nice solid hit, if you can manage it, but you're getting a nice solid hit on somebody who's off balance. Ready? Like jumping back like this. Well, let's say he knows what he's doing. Instead of being like, whoa, he's more like, well, now he's gone out of the range. The hook goes past him, and he's coming back in for another technique. Here's why I like that roundhouse kick. Because as I throw that hook, he leans back like this. As he's leaning back, now all of his weight is on that back leg. He can't really move it that well. He has to shift his weight in order to move that back leg. That's where the roundhouse kick comes in. Is I hook, he leans back, I take out that back leg. The back leg that's planted and can't go anywhere, come in from the side, hit him right above and behind the knee, take that knee out, buckle it, probably get disqualified in a match, but this is some dude trying to take my lunch money. Well, now he doesn't get my lunch money and I get to eat lunch. Of course, if he would just come up and say, hey man, I'm super hungry, can I get some lunch? They're like, yeah, sure man, here's my lunch money. All right, so we're gonna work that for a little bit. I'm gonna work it in shadow boxing to start with. So there's that hook, that right hook. And then as I'm rotating around, open up the hips. So I gotta do the Elvis thing. And then the sound effects help, they really do. They make it sound like my punches are moving a lot faster than they really are.
Ready?
All right, the next minute, on the bag. It's almost, I'd say about a full second between hits. Then, 1001. I want to close up that cadence, but without losing technique. So you see what I did there was I hit, and then instead of getting into the roundhouse kick, I just kind of brought my leg up and chopped. No power behind that at all. So let's practice it like this. I'm gonna throw the miss, and deliberately miss at the miss my range, and then follow up with a good roundhouse kick. Better. It's supposed to be a rest round. I don't like these 1 minute rests. Let's switch to 60-30. Which means no rest. No, didn't turn my hips over far enough. You can always tell if I hit the target and my foot is in front of me, I'm actually looking at my foot, then I haven't turned my hips over far enough. I need to be like this, so my shoulders are turned away. They're turned past the target. And that brings that foot through the target. Roundhouse kick is a powerful technique. I really like it. I really like landing, especially on the thighs, the inside or the outside of the thigh. You can land it on ribs. Back in his Pancrase days, Boss Rutten won a lot of fights with that roundhouse kick to the liver. But still, it takes a lot of technique to do it right. And my technique is far from flawless. All right, so there's the roundhouse kick. This. I'll knock the snow shovels off the wall. still bringing the foot in front of me. So cutting off my hip rotation. Much better. So a few rounds with the right hand there. Now we're going to switch it up, do that left hook. Now, the left hook, because I'm fighting southpaw, the left hook is an even shorter range than the right hook. My right hook has got this forward shoulder going for it. This left hook, my shoulder is behind my foot. So, I'm likely to be even closer if I'm throwing that left hook. How am I going to get a roundhouse kick in? Well, same thing. I'm here because I missed. Switch kick. So, again, switch kick, powerful technique, really like it. My technique is far from flawless. I'm even choking up the range a little bit, so I don't know if you can tell, but I'm hitting with probably about the middle third of my shin, which is a little less snappy than I would like. So there we go. Yeah. Now my switch kick is really slow and inefficient right now. So I'm going to take a round and just drill in that switch kick for a second. For a minute, actually. Not literally a second. Figurative second. Now the switch kick, most important thing is to get that foot, the initial foot shift, down pat. So it's fast, it's smooth. It doesn't really telegraph what you're doing. So if I'm like, everybody knows exactly what's coming next. Well, so it needs to be more like, no doubt feels faster than it really is. I'm noticing the more I video my own practice, the more I realize that what feels smooth and fast for me just doing it isn't always smooth and fast when you look at it. Like when I look at it disinterestedly, I'm like, oh, I can see that coming a mile away. And this is where I really wish this bag was tied down. I hadn't popped that loop off the bottom of it. Follow through. I don't know what my feet were doing there. My center of gravity was lateral to this planted foot. I just don't feel like I'm getting any power on that switch kick. Like, if I were actually to hit somebody with that, they just laugh at it. I doubt they'd even feel it. Might not even slow them down. So, again, I'm gonna break it back to just the switch kick. Take the hook out of the equation and concentrate on just that switch kick.
Ready?
So instead of a foot shift, I'm taking a lateral step. It's more of a push than a snap, really. And that's a function of speed, I'm sure of it. I'm not sure how to generate more speed from it. There's something binding up the biomechanics of my hips. So compare that to switch my stance and just throw that right here. That's the difference. So when I throw the roundhouse, I'm actually winding up for it. I'm picking this left leg up slightly, and then as I set it down, rotating into that kick. Can I do the same from here? I don't know, maybe. My stance, hook, shift the weight, roll into that kick. Maybe
Ready?
get this heel off the ground a little bit. Yeah, his heel was on the ground. That might be slowing me down. Oh yeah. Okay, that felt better. Much better. All right. So, can't see it on the video, but this left heel was stuck to the ground, and I was pivoting on it. Popped it up, pivoted on the ball of my foot, and got a little bit more speed out of it that time. Working on calf raises. So here's another thing I'm noticing about my switch kick is it's not trailing like a Muay Thai roundhouse. It's chambering and firing more like a karate or taekwondo side kick. What I mean by that is I'm getting my left knee up there.
Ready?
Getting my left knee up there and then firing the kick from there. Whereas a Thai boxing kick comes from here, and as I rotate around, drag the foot across. So I think that's a function of my hips not opening out properly. Meaning, when I'm going into that rotation, this left hip externally rotates the way it's supposed to, but then when my right hip is trying to come through, it's not opening out. The knee isn't actually behind the hip. So more stretching. A little better. A little better. And this is where I had the time to train in the afternoons or evenings. I would go to a school and have a coach watch me, and he could explain all this and fix my technique a lot faster than I can do it on my own. Training in your garage at 5 in the morning is not an ideal situation. important as I'm practicing this that I not throw that miss on purpose. What I mean by that is I'm not throwing the left hook as a feint. I'm throwing it as the real technique, which means I'm throwing it as if I was standing here, and I'm standing back here to simulate this guy's head being here, and as I throw it, he slides his head backwards. That's where I'm chambering for that roundhouse kick. That's my cue.
Ready?
Is him leaning back to switch techniques. So I have to try to visualize that in my head as I'm practicing. A couple of low kicks there. Nothing wrong with that. If you can't walk, you can't fight, right? Cut my hips off there. I hope you don't understand what I mean by cut my hips off. So let's say I'm kicking straight towards the camera here. If I'm trying to kick towards the camera and my hips are square, that's the farthest that my leg can come across. And that's just a function of the hip joint. It lacks mobility past center line, or at least mine does. There are probably people who have great mobility past center line. I'm not one of them. If I'm standing sideways and able to extend the hip and start from back here, now I can kick right through. See, that's what I'm talking about with my knee not trailing behind the hip. I'm not extending it adequately through the target. Not opening up my hips or cutting my hip off means that when I go to kick, I'm not turning that hip through in preparation for the kick. I'm not starting the kick from there. I'm just getting my hip up, not even there. I'm just getting my hip up here and trying to throw the kick from there. No matter how hard I throw it, I can't get past the target. I can't kick through the target because my hip is here and it's in the way. That's as far as I can bring my foot across. And it doesn't really have power once it gets to this point. So in the bag, let's see if I can choke my hip off. That's about all the power I can get from a hip that's not properly turned over. But now let me see if I can turn that hip over properly and increase my power. So I felt like there was more power there. I'm not sure. What I need to do is just increase the speed and the power until I actually kick through the bag and cut it in half. At that point, I think we'll safe to say their power has been adequately generated. Right. Well, more of the same for the next 25 minutes or so. So you guys have fun training.